There goes my old girlfriend. There's another diamond ring. And of all those late night promises, I guess it don't mean a thing. Walk this way, talk this way. Walk this way, talk this way. Just give me a kiss. Please, I just got to talk to you. Sick as a dog. What's your story? Sick as a dog. Cat got your tongue. Sick as a dog. You'll be sorry. Sick as a dog. 'Cause you really ain't so young. Watch you smile while you were sleeping, while you're far away dreaming. I could spend my life in this sweet surrender. I could stay lost in this moment forever. Every moment spent with you is a moment I treasure. So, Steven Tyler, let's talk about him. It's almost impossible to sound like Steven Tyler. It's pretty much impossible. He has a lot of vocal damage that most singers don't have and don't want to get. I think you would have had to have access to like super high quality schna from the 1970s to screw up your sinuses in that perfect way. Anyway, so we're here to talk about Steven Tyler. Sort of came of age in like 1967. Basically, his parents were both kind of like artists, musicians. His dad used to play piano. These vocal settings are a little intense, so I'm gonna a bit. His dad used to play piano. He would dance and kind of sing underneath the piano, get his sea legs as a singer. He started out as a drummer, actually. And, you can hear that in all of his scatting. What an incredible performer. I want to show you my vocal settings that kind of get you in the area to start to sound a little bit like Steven Tyler. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screens with you. Okay, so I'm going to take all the settings off. You'll notice for one thing, it gets a lot quieter. Hello, hello. Can you still hear me? Hey. Excuse me. Okay, so the first one, let me start you off with this. So if you can see my settings here, we are using the Shure, um, uh, excuse me, we're using the Sphere microphone. Your DLX microphone. You can see that there. We also have a scarf on it, obviously. But we're going to jump in here. And so the Hero mic, the front facing mic, is going to be none other than the SM57. The SM57 is like the workhorse of the music industry. Usually you put this on like snare drums. It's great for like percussions. You also, put it right up in a Marshall amp. It's a gritty mic. It's a very hardy mic. People use it as a hammer all the time in the film industry if they got to bash something in. So why would you use this for Steven Tyler? Well, it picks up a lot of this kind of stuff, which you want all of that stuff that you can possibly get in order to sound like Steven Tyler. On the back of the microphone, I'm using the vintage U87 setting. There might be a better setting to put in there, but I like the vintage. I mean, you can't go wrong with a vintage U87. Gives a little bit more body, makes it a little bit more singy, right? Than just the kind of aggressive forward-facing 57. A buddy of mine actually worked on recording Steven Tyler's vocals, and he said that he records on a 57. And if you've ever compared a 58 to a 57, this will start to make intuitive sense to you of why, because he kind of uses his voice like a like an instrument more than your average singer who uses it more like a singer. He kind of leans forward with all of his vocal damage as well as his vocal fry that he uses on top of the vocal damage. And the 57 really kind of brings all this stuff to life. Then I'm going to slap on an LA2A for compression. Can't go wrong with that. The setting I'm using is husky male vocal, right? Can't go wrong with that. You want that. Wow. Everything here is to bring out this kind of, lower chest register stuff so that it's still present there, even when you're almost in a pure head voice. And then lastly, well, not lastly, second to lastly, and most importantly from this channel strip setting I have going on, I'm going to use I don't know if you can see it here. It's the Neve 1084, which is going to kind of, you can hear what a difference this makes, right? Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Okay, so if you check out this channel strip, you can see what's going on. I'm not sure if that's sharing. But the setting I'm using is lead vocal by Daryl Thorpe. Daryl Thorpe, whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you for making such a great lead vocal channel strip. Really kind of brings the characteristics to life that we want for Steven Tyler or anybody who kind of sings like him. But I think especially he's like the patron saint of this kind of raspy rock singing, right? And then lastly, just to give it a little vintage feel, I'm using oxide tape, which just gives it a little extra saturation and just helps kind of bring that out. I might even want to do I want to put that before the LA2A? Make a difference, does it? This seems a little bit more alive, so we'll keep with this one. Okay, so this is my channel strip in UA. I got the Neve making things raspy, breathy. I got the Shure mic set up. We're bringing out the SM57 is like the hero mic with a little bit of vintage from the U87. Usually on my back mics, I like to put like a ribbon mic. It sounds really cool. It just adds a lot of the warmth of the room. So I could mess around with that. But right now, just going to go vintage U87 and oxide tape. Okay. So that is our settings that we're going to be using to bring out Steven Tyler qualities. Now, let's do the soundbite transfer method, shall we? Let's go middle of the career. Please, I just got to talk to you. Now you'll notice Steven Tyler puts his hand on his head like this. And it's kind of showy, prima donna, right? To just kind of put your head in your hand, just the music's overwhelming me, right? But there's another reason that he does this, in my opinion. And I believe this is because he is kind of like, so when I was singing in Aerosmith tribute band, was also singing in an AC/DC tribute band, and so it's like, yeah, 80s rock, high, loud. They're similar, right? And so one of the ways I would find these really high notes with AC/DC is I would be in a very twangy mechanism, right? Brian Johnson. The video games will play me, chase you on a level, but I'll take you every time on a one-on-one. And that's fine. Get is like loose and kind of screaming. You want the right amount of buzz in your skull. That's why he does this, in my humble opinion. You don't want to there's brief moments in time when he kind of dear looks like a lady. Even that was too twangy, right? Dude looks like a lady. That's the area of where you want to find it, right? So that's hence Steven Tyler doing a lot of this, getting as untwangy as possible. Your technique has to be so sharp, forgetting about even using the breath distortion or the vocal fry. But in order to hit the high notes the way he does without it creeping into the pain range, you've really just got to do it with all technique, neutral airflow. With AC/DC, you can push a little bit. Shoot to thrill, play to kill, shoot to thrill, shoot to thrill. You're still kind of in that world. Dream on, dream, dream, come through. Dream on, dream on. So it's about really hanging loose and having no Valsalva. Kind of, if you ever like hung out with like somebody on drugs and they were like kind of talking like this, like the drugs themselves sort of disengage your thyroarytenoid muscle. and make you naturally a little bit more mixy like this. And Valsalva is this kind of stress response. So if you are on like Klonopins or like, you know, some any kind of those like loosey downers, like anti-neurotic medications or whatever, this will disengage your Valsalva response. You won't really care if you get the notes that much. So you won't then be pushing to try to get the notes, you see? But you still have to get the notes because it's Steven Tyler, right? I guess in this day you could do auto tune, but don't do this. Don't do this, my friend. Okay, so we're gonna work on "Sick as a Dog," and now we're gonna share. I guarantee you, he's gonna be kind of talking like this. And you should watch my video on how lead singers are liars because they talk like this to convince you that this is their real chest voice and that when they're singing really really high, that it's still pretty much this. So listen for that because he's flagrant. They all do it though. Don't be fooled. But if you want to do this trick, I don't blame you. It's the move, but I keep it too real. He's on so many. We want to find him on the right amount of droogs. He's got to be on some droogs.
Heavy metal used to be something different to me. Heavy metal was like Zeppelin doing Dazed and Confused and went into the da-da-da-da-da.
Okay, so if you don't know the soundbite transfer method, here's what you do. You find an interview and you hope and you pray and you wish that somebody on the interview is going to ask them something really narcissistic because it does something to their voice when they do this. It like brings out a level of honesty of their voice and how it actually navigates. Because, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, and then that was cool, and then I did this, and this was cool, and we did other things that were cool. And like, wow, you've really been all around the world. Like, what's it like? You know, everyone thinks you're a god. Are you a god? Oh, well, I don't know. And then you find a little soundbite in that reaction, and then you just plug that in between every single line of a song that you're singing to root yourself into the navigation of, you know, whoever you're you know, mimicking or being inspired by, or, you know, whatever the heck. All right, so hopefully that moment will come up in this interview. Wow, you're amazing. Do you ever think that you're too amazing? Something like that.
You know, we made a good go at it. We toured the States 12, 13 times. And, you know, the times that were hard, well, they were just a blessing in disguise. If it was a blackout we were in, doesn't matter because we got here, we're back together and stronger than ever.
Guys. Sort of gives you a little something over here, right? It's not great. He kind of keeps his cool too much in interviews. Steven Tyler said one of the funniest things. He said that the music industry only makes sense on heroin. I've never done this. I absolutely never will. I certainly would advise all of you to never, ever do that. But it's funny, and there's a level of truth to that.
Toured the States 12, 13 times. And, you know, the times that were hard, well, they were just a blessing in disguise. If it was a blackout we were in, doesn't matter because we got here, we're back together and stronger than ever.
We could take that. It was a blessing in disguise. It was a blessing in disguise. Let's listen to it 10 times in a row.
Blessing in disguise. If it was a blackout we were in.
Times were hard.
You know, the times that were hard, well, they were just a blessing in disguise. If it was a blackout we were in. Doesn't matter.
Times were hard. It was just a blessing in disguise if there was a blackout. I don't know what that sentence means, by the way, but it's fine. It's ideal. My man, a believer. Now, he certainly isn't one of these guys who tries to talk the way he sings. He's, you know, a disciple of Mick Jagger in that regard. He created some crazy nonsense accent.
Oh, that's the spiritual side that I needed to fertilize. I needed to cultivate, so, you know, because that's how songs are grown.
Couch, and you were doing the solo projects, and you done the third.
How does she know all this shit? Yeah, she knows about it. I'm there.
And you were in a hotel in New York at the same time.
What's going on? She knows about it. Ha! Here we go. This is what we're talking about. It's not exactly what I was hunting for, but this is an emotional reaction where you get a little bit more of their authentic instrument. What's going on here? What's going on here?
At the same time.
We're going to take that. What's going on here? What's going on here? Nonsense was created, a man was created. Some nice grit. Yeah. That's damage. That's not vocal fry. You go chasing that vocal fry, you just, yeah. The sweet and bitter fruit has slowly opened his eyes. Whoa, she made it. Those kind of, that you can do the vocal fry. But the vocal fry at the ending of notes, trickier. Much, much, much trickier. Basically, vocal fry gets harder the higher pitched it goes, but you got to get it up pretty high for Steven Tyler. And the secret, of course, is really, really lazy, even airflow. As soon as you start pushing air to drive pitch, it jumps out of the way. What's going on? Oh, it's trying to see it. Notice his vowels. He does. It's Mick Jagger vowels. Way, 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 way. I guess it gives the impression of more weight, right? Way, way. Stopped in time and tried to walk away. So this is what I say to anybody who's like, oh my God, why would you try to sing like Steven Tyler? Just sing like you. What the hell is he singing like? It's not a guy from the Bronx or Boston. It's like a weird hybrid accent. It allows him to do what he wants to do. So that's my answer to that. Man was believer, man was deceiver, so the story told us to see. That's vocal damage from you know what. That's what that is. That rasp there. Don't try to chase it. What's going on here? The snake is here and she just climbing up his knee. Whoa, she ate it. Lordy was love at first bite. Oh, she ate it. Never knowing wrong from right. Right, oh, that's right. Remember, in order to find the kind of the drier side of things, you want to find the opposite and then do the opposite of the opposite, right? Same vowel, right? At least in the script. Why does Brian Johnson sing a certain way and Bon Scott sing a certain way, Robert Plant sing a certain way, and Axl Rose sing a certain way with their guitarist, and Steven Tyler sings another certain way with his guitarist? Because the guitar tones are different. This was the first video I made matching leads. And actually, this idea was introduced to me by Steven Tyler in his autobiography, Does the Voice in My Head Bother You? And he's dead right. Now, because Angus Young's guitar tone is so kind of, I don't want to say shrill in a bad way, but I mean, it's full, it like dominates, and it's super high pitched, and it's like a perfectly well balanced sound, but that is a loud Gibson SG. So that justifies a very, very loud, high, twangy vocal to go with it, right? Same thing with Robert Plant, again, kind of signature SG, loud, in your face, slash Seymour Duncan's Les Paul guitar, overdriven, everything to 11. You can, with that kind of thing, you can make really aggressive sounds, and it all goes together. In fact, if he was doing anything else, he'd be getting lost in the sauce, right? Perry is much more of a riff maker. I wouldn't describe his sound as twangy. I'd describe it as clangy, right? It's very more atmospheric, right? I mean, suddenly, in this song, right? It sounds a little bit more like those other guys, but if I put on like Uncle Salty, there's no way you can sing kind of cat-like guitar tones and Steven Tyler's vocals. Well, for this one, I think you can hear it, right? He's got some chorusing. Uncle Salty told me allowed to live. Uncle Salty told me. Can you imagine if there was like be a very different song. It might be kind of cool, but it wouldn't sound like Aerosmith. So again, because of the guitar tones of Joe Perry, and Steven Tyler was kind of the band leader, so he chose Joe Perry to kind of cut with his lead tones because he knew that, you know, he wanted to perform music that has a certain texture to it and that Joe Perry was the man for the job. So that's why whatever order things go in, you know, whether kind of the guy with the, you know, like if it's Eddie Van Halen, then you have David Lee Roth kind of figuring out, okay, how do I cut with this type of a lead? And hence you get all the you get the big idea, right? So whatever the guitar lead tones sound like, the lead vocals, especially in hard rock, have to somehow reflect them, which is what makes every band so different and exciting and engaging and creates such a variety within the genre that we can all enjoy and celebrate. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. This has been our tribute to the great Steven Tyler, the Toxic Twin. It's an impossible task to sound like Steven Tyler. We try. We're here for it. We're voice heads. So thank you. Like, share, subscribe, stick around. And yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this.